The internet has connected us like never before, but in its darkest corners, it has also given rise to some of the most chilling and disturbing cults in history. Starting with the Family International. The Family International, formerly known as the Children of God, began in the late 1960s as part of the counterculture movement. Under the leadership of David Berg, who his followers referred to as Moses David, the group initially seemed like a spiritual community dedicated to spreading love and salvation. However, behind the surface of their public image lay a far darker reality that has haunted former members for decades. You see, in its early days, the Family International attracted attention for its unconventional methods of outreach, but none were more controversial than what they called flirty fishing. Female members were allegedly encouraged to seduce potential male recruits as a way of spreading God's love. This practice, which the group tried to frame as a form of religious devotion, quickly became one of the many disturbing elements that would later define them. As the years went on, the group faced mounting allegations of exploitation, manipulation, and abuse. Former members began to speak out, revealing shocking details about life inside the community. Many claimed they were subjected to strict control over every aspect of their lives, from their education to their personal relationships, all dictated by Berg's increasingly erratic teachings. His writings, which were often apocalyptic in nature, included explicit content and bizarre doctrines that members were forced to memorize and internalize. When the internet began to gain prominence in the 1990s, the Family International adapted quickly. They launched websites and online forums, attempting to reach a new audience while maintaining the secrecy of their inner workings. However, the rise of the internet also gave a platform to former members who had left the group and were ready to expose its hidden darkness. Stories began to circulate on platforms like Reddit and YouTube, where ex-members encountered chilling experiences of growing up within the organization. Many described a childhood marked by isolation, indoctrination, and lack of basic freedoms. The most infamous story tied to the Family International is that of Ricky Rodriguez, the son of Karen Zerbe, who took over leadership of the group after David Berg's death. Rodriguez was raised as the heir apparent to the organization and became a central figure in Berg's disturbing writings. As he grew older, Rodriguez came to terms with the abuses he had suffered and witnessed, and he eventually left the group. In a tragic turn of events, he later took his own life after killing one of the women he believed had been complicit in his abuse. Despite attempts to rebrand itself over the years, the Family International remains a shadow of its former self, with its reputation irreparably tarnished by the countless accounts of trauma and suffering shared by former members. Heaven's Gate. Founded by Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles in the mid-1970s, this group believed they were the chosen ones destined to ascend to a higher plane of existence aboard a spaceship trailing the Hale-Bopp comet. Their story took a crazy turn when they embraced the internet, creating a website in the late 1990s to spread their message, a move that would immortalize their disturbing beliefs. The Heaven's Gate website, designed with a hauntingly dated aesthetic, was surprisingly sophisticated for its time. It served as the digital face of the cult, offering visitors an uncomfortable look into their apocalyptic doctrine. Applewhite, who went by the name Do, used the site to share essays, videos, and FAQs that laid out their belief system in chilling detail.
Planet Earth about to be recycled. Your only chance to evacuate is to leave with us. Planet Earth about to be recycled. Your only chance to survive or evacuate is to leave with us.
Followers were told that Earth was about to be recycled, and that their only salvation was to shed their human vehicles and join the spacecraft awaiting them. In March 1997, the group's online presence took a macabre turn when 39 members, including Applewhite, took their lives in a mass suicide. Dressed identically in black tracksuits and Nike sneakers, they consumed a lethal combination of barbiturates and alcohol, believing they were transcending to a higher existence. The tragic event shocked the world. but the group's website remained online, serving as a digital tombstone for their ideology. It is maintained by 2 surviving members of the cult. The site remains largely untouched, frozen in time with its 1990s design and outdated HTML format. It offers an unflinching look through the group's teachings, complete with Applewhite's haunting video sermons that feel as though they're speaking directly from beyond the grave. The Order of the Nine Angels. Unlike the other cults before this, the Order of the Nine Angels, O9A, is not your typical internet cult. It's a more shadowy, decentralized network of extremists that has managed to embed itself into the digital world, spreading its dangerous and deeply disturbing ideology. Originating in the 1970s in the United Kingdom, the group promotes a mix of neo-Nazism, Satanism, and occult mysticism. While their existence predated the internet, their presence exploded in the digital age, where forums, encrypted chat rooms, and file-sharing platforms became fertile ground for their twisted teachings. At first glance, O9A's online presence might seem like an amalgamation of cryptic occult text and ritual, but dig deeper, and it becomes clear that their ideology centers around advocating violence, chaos, and societal collapse. Their most notorious doctrine, referred to as inside roles, encouraged members to infiltrate organizations like law enforcement, the military, or other cults to destabilize systems from within. This tactic not only spreads their influence, but also blurs the line between followers and outsiders, making them nearly impossible to track. In the early 2010s, O9A became a frequent topic on extremist forums, where members exchanged manuals containing rituals, propaganda, and explicit instructions for acts of violence. Some of their writings even appeared on websites disguised as academic text, lending a veneer of legitimacy to their otherwise ridiculous practices. Their presence on encrypted platforms like Telegram has allowed them to recruit new members and share radical teachings without fear of detection. One of the most disturbing aspects of O9A's online activity is their connection to real-world violence. Alleged members have been linked to heinous crimes, including murders and terror plots. In 2020, an American soldier was charged with attempting to provide classified information to O9A in an effort to orchestrate an attack on his own unit. This case, along with others, showcased the group's ability to exploit the vulnerabilities of young, impressionable recruits through their online propaganda. Despite efforts by law enforcement and online platforms to shut down O9A's digital operations, the group has proven adept at reappearing under new names and domains. Their decentralized structure and use of encrypted communication make them a particularly insidious presence in the digital underworld, where they continue to propagate their ideology. 7M Films. Much like the O9A, 7M Films is one of the more unsettling examples of an internet-based group shrouded in mystery, operating on the thin line between entertainment and control. On the surface, 7M Films presents itself as a digital media company producing polished, viral-friendly content, often featuring eye-catching choreography and influencers. However, beneath the glossy facade lies a web of disturbing allegations centered around manipulation, cult-like practices, and exploitation. You see, the company gained notoriety in the early 2020s after several creators associated with 7M Films came forward with claims that the organization was less about creative freedom and more about control. Allegations surfaced that 7M Films wasn't just a talent management company, but was deeply connected to the Shekinah Church, a fringe religious group led by Robert Shin. Critics accused Shin of using 7M Films as a front to recruit and indoctrinate young, vulnerable influencers, often isolating them from their families and manipulating their personal lives. Through their carefully crafted social media presence, 7M Films painted a picture of success, glamour, and community, but former members described a much darker reality.
With his friend, which is Isaiah, which is Robert's son. And then he started hanging out with him, going to his house like every single day. And then later on, they started having meetings. And so then Reynolds started, my other friends started tagging along with them. And then my other friends started tagging along with them too as well. So it was like a one-by-one type thing. And then so I was like, okay, fine. Let me just, see what's this about. Let me check it out myself and see how things go. And then, I just started coming around more. And then one time, Robert said something about, all right, we're going to start a management company. This was around the time when I wasn't even a part of the church yet. I was just still going to meetings. I was still hanging out with my friends at the time, but they were a part of the church and I wasn't. And then so that's how 7M came about.
They Should Just Tell organization tightly monitored its creators, dictating their every move and siphoning off earnings under the guise of spiritual guidance. Some families even alleged that their loved ones had been cut off entirely, with communication strictly controlled by the organization.
We're not allowed to contact her, and we're blocked on absolutely everything.
As whispers of these practices spread, the internet exploded with speculation, fueling Reddit threads, YouTube exposés, and viral TikToks dissecting every detail of 7M Films' operations. Videos showcasing the influencer's eerie synchronized routines took on a sinister undertone when viewed through the lens of these accusations. Was it simply choreography, or was it another method of enforcing control and conformity? Despite the controlling hate for their methods, 7M Films has maintained its online presence, continuing to push out content that garners millions of views. They've repeatedly denied these allegations, framing them as misunderstandings or outright fabrications. Yet, the stories from former members and their families persist. NXIVM. NXIVM was once touted as a self-help organization for ambitious professionals, but it somehow became one of the most chilling internet-era cults. Founded in 1998 by Keith Raniere, the group initially presented itself as a legitimate company, offering seminars and training programs designed to unlock human potential. But as its ranks swelled with high-profile recruits, including actresses, socialites, and even heirs to billion-dollar fortunes, the dark reality of the group began to emerge. While it operated in physical spaces, much of its influence was online. Its members frequently used social media to promote the group's workshops and success stories, creating an air of legitimacy that masked the manipulative tactics Raniere employed behind the scenes. Through carefully crafted marketing materials, its online presence showed glowing testimonials, presenting the organization as a path to personal empowerment. The most disturbing aspect of the group came to light with the discovery of DOS, a secret inner circle described as a master-slave system. Women recruited into DOS were coerced into providing collateral, often explicit photos, videos, or deeply personal secrets that could be used against them if they tried to leave. These women were then branded with a symbol that incorporated Keith Raniere's initials and subjected to strict diets, sleep deprivation, and complete obedience to their masters. This secretive, abusive hierarchy existed under the guise of self-improvement and empowerment, but it functioned as a system of control and exploitation. In the late 2010s, allegations against NXIVM began to surface online, with former members sharing their stories on platforms like YouTube and Reddit. These accounts gained traction, leading to investigative reports and eventually a federal investigation. The internet became a battleground where NXIVM's carefully curated image unraveled, as survivors exposed the group's inner workings to a shocked public. In 2018, Raniere was arrested and charged with multiple crimes, including sex trafficking, forced labor, and racketeering. High-profile members of the group, like actress Allison Mack, were also implicated, with Mack playing a major role in recruiting women into DOS. Raniere was eventually convicted in 2019 and sentenced to 120 years in prison, effectively ending the group's reign. Twin Flames Universe. Twin Flames Universe is an internet-based group that claimed to help individuals find their ultimate soulmate. Founded by Jeff and Shalea Ann in the mid-2010s, the group promoted the idea that every person has one true twin flame, and their online community promised to guide members in reuniting with their cosmic counterpart at any cost. At first glance, it appeared to be a harmless community of romantics offering spiritual advice through YouTube videos, social media posts, and paid courses. Their content often featured Jeff and Shalea preaching about the sanctity of twin flames, claiming their teachings could heal emotional wounds and lead followers to eternal love, but as the group expanded, darker stories began to emerge. What made Twin Flames Universe so suspect was the way it weaponized the vulnerability of its followers. Members were told that finding their twin flame was a divine mission and that rejection by their so-called soulmate was merely an obstacle to overcome. In some cases, members were encouraged to persuade people who had already made it clear that they weren't interested, actions that led to accusations of harassment and stalking. The group reportedly reframed these pursuits as part of the spiritual journey, even when they caused distress for the individuals being pursued. Behind the scenes, Jeff and Shalea exerted increasing control over their members, allegedly demanding large sums of money for courses and certifications while isolating followers from friends and family. Through private Facebook groups and live stream sessions, they maintained a tight grip on the community, using spiritual jargon to justify their actions. Those who questioned their teachings were often ostracized, while those who complied were drawn deeper into a web of dependence and exploitation. Their polished YouTube channel served as the gateway, drawing in viewers with promises of eternal love, while private online forums and social media groups became echo chambers for the teachings. The group's digital presence allowed them to cast a wide net, targeting vulnerable individuals around the world who were searching for meaning or connection. In recent years, former members have come forward with harrowing accounts of psychological manipulation and financial exploitation. Some have accused Jeff and Shalea of pushing followers into dangerous behaviors in the name of spiritual growth, while others have described the group as nothing short of a cult. These allegations have sparked widespread criticism and even legal scrutiny, though Twin Flames Universe continues to operate to this day, denying all accusations and framing them as misunderstandings.